Hello, hello, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we are doing an old classic. We are knocking this one out of the park, and I'm kind of glad it showed up on the that it finally turned up on the poll. Now there's double breeze in your living room. Woo woo. Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about Asian monsters in general, but we're talking about Yetis specifically.
The year 9.
But there's other names for them too, and we're going to get into all that. Yerens for when it crosses the borders into China. There's a lot to unpack here. But I didn't want to go alone. Obviously, I like to find a true believer channel to take us on the journey. So today we're going along with. I thought it would be popping up. Maybe not. There we go. We'll do this one. There we go. Yeah. So today we're going to go on our journey with paranormal research, Paul Stonehill. And if you remember Paul, I believe he was the one who talked about the Mongolian death worm with us. If y'all remember that episode, the Mongolian death worm, always a fun topic, of course. But I think it's a sand boa. Anyway, but they have a whole lot of channels about different cryptids and Fortean stuff. And yeah, bizarre anomalous mushrooms at Lake Baikal. That was just 13 hours ago. That came up. Got women from the Bright Comet, aliens against conquistadors. Right? All kinds of quirky stuff. The suspected zoo assassin. What? That sounds crazy. There's some aliens. How to Conquer Death. You got, what's that Chinese monk's name? I forget his name now. Anyway, yeah, you got him. That's a trident head. Ooh, found in a lake. Oh, it's square-faced primates. Interesting. So it's like a grab bag of oddities and weird stuff. But Chinese diplomats who saw Siberian mammoths. Oh, really? Did that happen? But they're pretty prolific too. All this is like released within the last month, right? Pretty prolific that they come out with a lot of stuff. Insects and UFOs, a very interesting study. Ooh. But I'm not going to allow myself to be distracted because today, and this guy's focus is mainly on Russia, if you haven't picked up on that. But today, he's going to be teaching us about mysterious relic hominids of Eurasia, Almas, Kizaburus, Mejiki, Yeti, and Zoo T. And there's more, but this channel's actually got a lot of subscribers, almost 20K at this point. And this video is from 2 years ago. Has been viewed 2.5 thousand times. Let's see what this is all about. You want to?
Hello, YouTube. Let me take you today to places most Westerners know very little about. Mongolia and some neighboring lands are the destinations today. And the subject I'll speak about is the relic hominid, or Yeti, Almas, or Almasta.
I do like the term relic hominid better, though. Although relic is kind of a funny word. It's kind of a fun word, too. A relict population is like a population that all other relatives are extinct except for them, and they live in an isolated population in a limited range. A good example of the relic population would be the Asiatic lion, right? They'll just live in the Gir forest, just in this one little patch of forest in India. Compared to the rest of the rest of the lions that are like prevalent throughout most of sub-Saharan Africa, right? So that would be considered a relict population. To consider a relict population of apes or hominids, I would be more keen to call the Asian hominids relict populations than I would to call the Bigfoot a relict population.
Well, snowman, the creature that resembles humans, has many names. But beyond that, I want to tell you this. Mongolia is a land of many surprises. I'm not young anymore to explore them, but some daring people have been doing so. And given a chance, I would love to get back to Eurasia.
I would love to go to Mongolia, but I'm a Westerner, so I won't be able to go anytime soon. And I can't imagine I'd have a lot of luck traveling around Mongolia, to be frank about it, because I don't speak any of the languages.
Asia and see Mongolia, because there are places to explore. But to me, Mongolia, its Gobi Desert, is one of the most fascinating places on this planet. After many years of research, I am convinced there are underground cities under the desert. There may be abodes of ancient terrestrial civilization, or maybe something else. And Tibet has a number of secrets that few in the West realize, and not only in the West, of course. As are there secrets in the Siberian taiga, as I've told you in my other videos. Ivan Yefremov said this about Mongolia. Here in Gobi, like nowhere else, you feel how saturated the earth is with memory of its past. And he knew what he was talking about.
Morning, Ryan. You know what? Hold on. Just fixing something here with my camera. It's driving me crazy. Why is it so weird shaped? Didn't notice it till I was wearing. Oh well, I'll just leave it how it is. It's fine like that.
Sources are not only Ivan Yefremov, Nikolai Rerich, Andrew Thomas, but also my own diligent research of open source materials and so forth. I have posted my views in my videos, but today I want to talk about another area of my research. Relic hominids, better known as Wildmen.
Pallas cats are from there, yes. And Pallas cats could be considered a relict feline population. But, yeah.
Man, or hairy man, and by various other names, are thought to inhabit various areas of the Caucasus and Asia, particularly the mountains of Central Asia. Numerous tales originating...
Apparently you jumped right into first place, Ryan. I don't know how they do that, how they pick who's typing enough.
different countries, ethnic groups, as well as different cultures and religions speak of encounters with this.
Good morning, the Kentucky Atheist. Good to see you, Joe. And hey, yeah, if somebody wants to drop, I think I have a link to Joe's thing, but Joe's hosting putting on the ARC protest, so go check that out. Yeah, if you got time.
Unusual creatures.
Harry, man.
Despite the great diversity of witnesses, their descriptions are similar. In contrast with comparable stories circulating in the rest of the world, the uniformity of the eyewitness reports, as well as their analysis, show that in Central Asia, these reports go well beyond the realm of folklore, myth, or legends.
But do they, though? They seem to stay pretty well anchored in the realm of myth and legend. I'm going to speed you up just a little bit, because we've got a 45-minute video to get through.
About half of the territory of Mongolia is occupied by low mountains, covered with steppe, like savanna vegetation. In the north of the country, there are several large lakes surrounded by a wide belt of reed beds. In the west, the Altai mountain spurs are the Mongolian Altai. The southern part of the country is a rocky desert, the Mongolian Gobi, etc. The population is very minimal there.
All right, so let's check it out on the map, guys. It's map time. Where is my map? Oh, yeah, I hit it under here. I didn't need Bazongo anymore. Here we go. All right. So, no, we're not looking to the Antilles, so don't get your hopes up that that's the region that we're going to be visiting. No Caribbean vacations for you. We're off into the Asian steppes. All right. So, got all these great montane regions over here. This is I believe these are the Altai Mountains right here, right? And then these will be the Caucasus. The Caucasus. So, very montane. Is there a way to look at it with the elevation terrain map? Yeah, let's do a terrain map. There we go. Even though it's kind of ugly. This looks like the globes they used to have in school. But all along these mountains, on the northern side, mountains here, all the way along here is the range of the Wildmen. Yeah, that's an eyesore. Thank you. I don't know why that was so hard to look at and nostalgic at the same time.
Of the animals, there are wild camels, horses, for example, the famous Przewalski horse, wild donkeys, wolves, foxes.
We got super chats. Thank you. My super chats do work. Thank you. My unfinished Kimmy and G. Hail Hive, Myths and Legends. Good morning. And Bo Bird, welcome to Cryptic Creepers. Yes, we have Bo Bird.
Jackals, wild boars in the reed thickets around the lakes. Well, let me tell you about the sightings of, we can call them animals or humanoids in that land. For example, in 1960...
We do need to do a show on the Przewalski horse at some point. I think that's how you say it. Someone said way different than what I thought. Is my peaking? Is my microphone peaking, or is his microphone peaking? Let me know.
Or two girls, students of the second grade Dulanjab in Dersuran and the 6-year-old Kolaka, were collecting firewood. Suddenly, they saw a big hairy man covered with shaggy brown hair. Throwing down the brushwood, they rushed to run. The hairy man did not pursue them. Well, in 1965, Doctor of Mineral and Geological Sciences from the USSR, Morozov, worked on the territory of the Middle Gobi. One day after returning from work, he went to sleep in his tent. At night, he woke up because someone was pulling the tent's tripwires hard. Then there was a crash from the falling empty crates of food. Outraged, Morozov jumped out of the tent and came face to face with a shaggy, hairy humanoid creature standing in front of the tent. The hairy man was of small stature.
See, so that's the different thing about Yetis too. That Yetis are sometimes little. Sometimes Yetis are only like 5 foot tall, to or even shorter. Not like Hobbit short, but like short compared to a Bigfoot, or short compared to other Yetis too. But a lot of the reports, some of the more classical reports even, will have a Yeti that's small.
About 170 centimeters. His disproportionately long arms hung at his sides. Morozov remembered that some very unpleasant smell emanated from this creature. The encounter lasted several seconds. Morozov rushed away from the tent to the general camp.
Just because you think it's unpleasant doesn't mean everybody thinks it's unpleasant, sweetie. Some people might enjoy the smell of a Yeti.
Followed by a heart-rending scream of an irritated creature. Then we'll move on to the year 1971. A group of Soviet petroleum geologists included Arkady Nikiforov.
Are you going to skip right over Zayna? I wanted to talk about Zayna at some point. Maybe Zayna should have her whole episode. Oh my God, you're a Yeti? That's literally me. Yeah, I was like, that describes Sue. That describes Sue. For real. Thank you so much for posting that link, Aunt Jur. You're the bee's knees. And yeah, you asked me a question in Discord earlier, Aunt Jur, and I tried to answer you. Yeah, don't worry about that this morning. I'll try to remember to get it fixed up so that it works right next week. I appreciate you, though.
Mongolia, also in the Middle Gobi. One night, Nikiforov was awakened by a terrible noise. His tent was shaking. Someone tried to knock it down. The geologist jumped out to punish the Joker, but instead of a human Joker, a completely...
Which is saying a lot when you say that Yeti farts are what'd you say? Where'd you go, trees? Something about Yeti farts being legendary. Did you delete it? Yetis smell like Fritos? You think so? But like because you gotta think like the stellar sea cows. Oh, you're not here, Long John Fabiano. Well, I'm glad you were able to come in when you did. And good morning, Big Zebra as well. Anybody else I missed? But because Yetis share the Asian continent, or I guess the continent's kind of a weird way to say it. But with the stellar sea cow, which probably had the most legendary farts of all.
Creepy image of an incomprehensible creature appeared before him. What struck him, Nikiforov later recalled, was not the size. The creature was about 10 centimeters taller than him, but a terrible, disgusting smell. The creature standing in front of him resembled a human, but its entire body was covered with dark brown fur. The neck was missing, and the arms seemed very long, perhaps because their strange owner was very stooped. The geologist and the unknown creature looked at each other for a while, and then with a scream they rushed in different directions. Nikiforov, in fear, rushed to the tent and frantically began to search for a gun. People came running.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Humans are such silly creatures. You know, we see an animal we've never seen before, and our first instinct is to kill it. Like every time, shoot it dead. We don't know what this is. Kill it now.
His screams. Having told about the incident, Nikiforov offered to take guns and try to shoot this creature. To his suggestion, the Mongols, who were at the same time and at the same place, replied that it was the same animal as gazelle or camel. It doesn't do anything bad to people. It turned out that the Mongol workers often had to deal with this creature in mountainous areas. Then there is the story of the person named Abitov.
So, like, if they're so common, that's the thing. I'll always say this about especially Asian hominids. Like, oh, the indigenous people just see them all the time and interact with them all the time. To me, that's sort of on the level. I don't want to say it's completely on the level of being like, oh yeah, brown people couldn't build these pyramids kind of talk, you know? It's like pushing it off on the indigenous people to say something fantastical is happening instead of just saying, yeah, there's just, I don't know, there is something to this, right? There is some type of phenomena that's happening in the world causing people to think that they're seeing large hairy hominids. What it is, I don't know. Is it large hairy hominids? I mean, it could be. Occam's razor tells me no. Occam's razor actually tells me the most likely culprit is brown bear, or maybe to a lesser degree, black bears. Because if you'll pay attention to the range of these creatures, especially Asia and North America, they always overlap with the range of large bears. But I digress.
He served in 1978 in Mongolia as a driver. One day, he fell behind his column, troubleshooting, and catching up with them, got lost. It was late afternoon, and Abitov decided to spend the night. Stopping the car, the driver got out of the cab to get acquainted with the terrain. Low hills towered all around. Mountains were visible in the distance.
Do Americans really stink to other people? Do we really smell like cheese? Is that for real? Yak cheese and yak butter will get a Yeti tootin' like Vladimir Putin. Oh, you're making rhymes. Nice. The last time I saw a large, hairy hominid was when I could still use men's locker rooms without fear. Yeah, very similar to the magical, to that trope. Spike Jones coins. Yeah. Uh-huh. Exactly. It's, some mystical appeal to the indigenous people, like they have the noble savage is also a concept like from Native American folklore or American folklore about Native Americans. I mean, there's mostly derogatory images of Native people, but every now and then you get the noble savage.
Find them. A small river flowed about 2 kilometers away. Thick grass grows in the valley between the river and the hills. In such dense places, even The fall of a stone or a rock can be heard very far away. Suddenly, the driver noticed two people. Thinking that they were Arats, that's Mongolian peasants, he ran to them. But when he ran closer,
I absolutely love cheese. That makes sense. I think a Yeti would love cheese too.
the driver saw that these creatures were shaggy. They gathered and ate grass. One was taller than the other. The heads were round, the neck was not visible, the chest was wide. When they saw a bit of, they stopped eating grass. The tall one made a sound like a horse neighing, showing his teeth at the same time. After looking at the driver, they left up the valley and he returned to the car. In 1963, Soviet engineer...
They was eating grass? Interesting. I wonder why they would eat grass. Was it like a grain? I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can't think of any... The only other primate I can think of that eats grass is the gelada, a baboon. I mean, it's not to say that they couldn't eat grass. We eat grass. I mean, but we prepare it and stuff.
Ivlev finished his contract work in Mongolia, and before leaving for his homeland, he was offered a trip to the picturesque places of the country in which he worked. He was brought to the mountains of the Mongolian Altai. The Mongols treated Ivlev very warmly, not only in gratitude for his work, but also in memory of his father, who worked as a doctor in Mongolia for many years. There is even a monument to him in Ulaanbaatar. And the Mongols, accompanying Ivlev, prepared a surprise for him. They decided to show him the living almas.
Yeah, you can smoke grass, but I don't know about eating it.
They took Ivlev to a certain gorge, and there, on one of the rocky ledges, a family of hairy almas appeared in front of them. A father, mother, and a cub. Almas and the people looked at each other for several minutes. Adult almas were 5 or 6 feet tall. Their bodies were covered with light brown hair. Without hair, there were only faces, hands, and feet. Their faces were bordered by sideburns and a small beard.
I always assumed that they'd have sideburns. Yeah. Because they'd be styling, right? This was the 1950s, after all. Dad's got to have some sideburns.
On the head, which had a conical shape, the hair was darker and hung over very broad shoulders. They moved on 2 legs, but with bent knees and slightly leaning forward. They were not wearing any clothes. According to the Mongols, almas lead a nocturnal lifestyle, but are especially active at dusk and dawn. Almas are vegetarians. Their favorite food is root vegetables and various herbs. Rumor has it that the almas has some primitive tools. For many years, the Mongolian...
Are they nocturnal because of humans, though? Are they naturally nocturnal? There's a lot of animals that have nocturnal behavior now didn't have nocturnal behavior until humans moved into their territory. So a lot of species just flip that switch. Mm-hmm.
Researcher Rajib has been studying the almas subject. He walked for many kilometers in the footsteps of the almas.
No, that's a crypto bro sighting. Very different, Big Zebra. You can cite a crypto bro. John Hudson is here. I thought you changed your name to something else, John Hudson. You saw something else yesterday. It's like Stupid Human or something like that.
On December 15, 1973, he photographed the tracks along which he walked more than 16 miles. During his expeditions, the Mongolian explorer was able to explore only 2 of the 18 Imags of Mongolia. And Imag, originally a Mongolian word meaning tribe, is an administrative subdivision in Mongolia. Many areas of the Mongolian Altai and other eastern and northeastern Imags...
Okay, I had it wrong then. That can't be... The Altai are in Mongolia, so... Let's see. Altai Mountains. Okay, so this is the Altai Mountains right here. And we're gonna go ahead and flag that. Yep. We'll save it to our favorites. So that now we know. If you want to see a Mongolian wild man, an Alma, come here. Can we drop down in here? What kind of landscape are we looking at? Is there any way to stand in the Altai? Yeah, there's some places. Let's drop down right here. What we got going on here? Ooh. Looks pretty rugged. Is that... I don't know if that's safe. If that's safe there to mess with. It looks like... Oh, there's our little vehicles. Oh, it's a lot bigger than I was thinking. Oh, goodness. So these are what the mountains look like around here. Let's check another location in the mountain range, though. All right, so... Right here. Is that a spot? Yeah, it's a spot. I wouldn't want to run around here barefoot. I don't know about you guys. Looks like I'd cut my feet up on these rocks. But I don't have tough Yeti feet. I have soft human feet. But, yeah. Or Almas or whatever. Oh, I said Yetis, but... What's up with that? Is that the people standing on there? That can't be a people. The people are that big. It's a little people... Look, we found a, not a, maybe it's a baby Yeti. I don't know. Because the people are full size. Look, there's a full size people and there's a tiny people. Obviously. This is pretty, though. I mean, look into the distance. Just mountains rolling on mountains, folding over each other. What a hell of a landscape. Mm-hmm.
Or the latest information about the Almas came have not been practically studied. Nobody explored them. So here's more about Rajiv's expedition to the mountains of the Mongolian Altai.
You've never seen mountains with snow caps or the ocean. I've seen the ocean. I've seen mountains with snow caps, but I was an adult by the time I did. Because I grew up. We did go to the Smokies and we did go to the ocean quite a bit. We went to the Carolinas a lot, but the Smokies don't have snow caps. For real.
As the newspaper Hidulur reported, the Mongolian researcher spent 1,340 days in the mountains of Mongolian Altai in search of Almas. Every person believes his own eyes, and I'm convinced that there is a humanoid creature Almas in the Mongolian Altai, he said, going on the expedition. So Rajiv was in the mountains of the extreme west of Mongolia from the summer of 1973 to the spring of 1977. He managed to see Almas.
Billionaires need a lot of pallardizing and a lot of tenderizing before marinating. That's good. Follow Brian for more recipes. Uh-huh. You see, I'm just catching up on the chat. Give me a second. There's only one mountain in the Appalachian chain that has snow covering it. Yeah. Okay. What do you think the vault of the Vatican? I need you guys to let me know because we're going to be visiting that after this. I've been to the Smokies. The Smokies are cool, but the Smokies are not snow-capped. I've seen Lake Erie and Lake Michigan, which counts as seeing no ocean. I mean, it does, technically. And to Cedar Point, and that's about it. All of the foreskins of the church has collected over the... Oh, in the vaults of the Vatican? Probably. Uh-huh.
From afar 3 times. Photograph the creature's tracks more than 30 times. Collect several dozen oral testimonies of people about this creature. On the 1st of July of 1973, Rajiv's group, together with hunters and guides, was at the foot of the Humig Len in the territory of Tolba Bayan Ulagay Aymag. When climbing the mountain, he reached the edge of the eternal snows melting under the summer sun, and he saw 2 large footprints on the wet ground. The track length was 33.5 centimeters with a width of 13 centimeters. Plaster casts were made...
Now, 33.5 centimeters... 30 centimeters is a foot, so 33.5 centimeters is going to be about right around 14 inches.
From the sprints in March of 1973 in the mountains of the Kopdus Ayamag, 8 search participants were sitting in an ambush. One night, one of them lit a match, and immediately there was a loud sound like a shrill whistle, and rocks fell down. Looking in that direction through binoculars, people saw a stooped humanoid creature that picked up something from the ground, sent it to his mouth, and sat down on a stone. This made it possible to photograph and sketch it. In the Mongolian Altai, local residents very often tell...
Show us the photo of the sketch. Oh, show us some Yeti titties. Yeti titties. And then there's a baby motorboating them.
Stories about the existence of humanoid, erect, hairy animals. Which
unless Yeti are like anglerfish and the females are really big and that's the male. What if they're like that? What if that's the male?
Mongolian are called Hun Gures, man beast or Almas. In remote and completely deserted areas, Russian...
I want a horse too. We can go horse riding together. I can wear my cowboy hat. Yes, let's do it.
Explorers repeatedly stumbled upon rocks literally dotted with black openings of entrances at the heights inaccessible.
Milky Yeti titties earns you a number 3 spot. Mm-hmm.
To humans in these godforsaken places, it was easy to believe in the possible existence of relic creatures or some other species unknown to science, successfully hiding from humans in the most inaccessible mountain caves.
C cup for Yeti.
And preserved to this day features of the ape men of the distant past. The Tsagan Bogdul mountain massif frames the Altai Gobi, Trans-Altai Gobi, from the south, and is the easternmost spur in the chain of the Tian Shan Mountains. And I told you about those mountains in my other videos. From the main peak of the...
you all love them Yeti tits in the side chat. Mongolian milkmaid. Definitely a handful. Yeti boobers. C-cup Yeti. Milky Yeti titties. Those titties are milky. Australopithecus mammy. LOL. No matter what, King deserves the 31 spot. Okay, yeah. I love my audience. You guys are so funny.
Ganbog Massif to the border with China is about 15 kilometers, and the territory of the neighboring state is clearly visible from the top. Please see my video about the Chinese wild man, Yeti, and so forth, and I'll list in the description of this video how to see it. The mountain range is interesting because only here dwells the Gobi bear. Keep it in mind, the Mazalai, a relict animal, a living witness of a different climate and a different landscape, which to some may have become the prototype of the mysterious hairy people, Almas. Abominable snow...
Yes, the Gobi bear. Good call.
...of Central Asia. Currently, the special status of this animal has not been definitely clarified. It is believed that this is a unique population of brown bear living in a real desert environment. It is hardly possible to unambiguously associate only this bear with the stories about hairy people or creatures that are common in Mongolia. Evidence of encounters and observations of mysterious Almas is too widespread geographically. Evidence of encounters with Almas in Mongolia could be found in print as early as the late 1970s, for example. According to eyewitnesses, writes in his book Monuments of History and Culture of Mongolia, first deputy chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Mongolian People's Republic, MPR, chairman of the State Committee of the MPR for Science and Technology, Doctor of Historical Sciences, Maidar. Here's what Maidar writes. The search for the so-called ape men, or living Neanderthal, Sinanthrope, or Almas, Hung Resu, abominable snowman, or Yeti.
I do want to talk to people who have seen Bigfoot and stuff, though, for real, right-handed Seth. I'm like, yeah, if anybody out there has ever had a Bigfoot encounter, Sasquatch encounter, skunk ape, anything like that, let me know, because I do want to sit down and talk to you about it. I'm not going to be mean about it.
In Mongolia has its own history. Eyewitnesses testify that they used to roam in packs, but now they're very rare in the Altai Mountains, in the Kobdo and Bayan Ulga IMAX. The Academy of Sciences of the NPR organized a survey of the local population of this IMAX about Almas. Dozens of people testified about them in the Bayan Ulgi IMAG, and 16 of them confirmed that they themselves had seen Almas. Almas is a half animal, half human with reddish-black hair. The face is hairless, the belly is covered with sparse vegetation. The head is pointed on the back of the head, and at the back of the head, the forehead is flattened. The brow arches...
So they got like a crest on the top that poops up. Okay.
protrude strongly. The cheekbones are prominent. About the height of an average person, Almas walks with bent knees, stooped clubfoot. He has broad shoulders, long arms. The big toe sticks out. Women have long breasts. Almas are timid, suspicious, but not aggressive.
Yeah, they gotta talk about them titties. Everybody wants to know about the Yalma's titties and the Yeti titties and the Yeren titties and the Sasquatch titties. When I was on with the Apostate Sisters a couple weeks ago, we talked about Bigfoot titties quite a bit. It's important. This is an important part of cryptozoology is hairy hominid titties.
Lifestyle. No one heard their speech. To verify these reports, an expedition of the Committee of Sciences of the NPR was sent to the Tsagan Bogdo Mountains in the late 1930s of the 20th century. The members of the expedition spent a lot of time in the mountains, but the expedition failed to confirm the existence of a human animal, the hairy Almas. Geographer Murzaev and his companion botanist.
No one ever wants to talk about sheep squatch, which is really real. You know, I talked about bat squatch last week or earlier this week. What was it, Tuesday night?
Yunatov became the first scientist to see a live Almas, and they say Gobi bear in August of 1943. We managed to notice, wrote Murzaev in his diaries, that the Gobi bear is not very large. It was smaller than a brown.
Ooh, you've seen a Appalachian black panther? I would love to pick your brain about that.
Forest bear. The Gobi hermit was dark brown in color with tufts of old faded hair sticking out on the animal's skin over the young dark fur. The bear ran quickly and deftly, climbing the slope of the valley with agility. The Mongols said that the Gobi bear is very smart, cautious, and difficult to see. The legend added that the Gobi bear perfectly understands human speech, lives in inaccessible rocks where it has comfortable dwellings. It does not show itself to a person and walks on its hind legs.
That's the ones from the Mummy. They used like a snow leopard sort of design for them.
Superstitious nomads explain these qualities of the Gobi bear as follows.
Even if they do have mountain lions in Kentucky, which I would argue that there are, dare I say, relict populations of eastern cougars still roaming regions of the Appalachia mountain range. I'm daring to say that, or at least transient ones. What are you doing in front of my eye? Anyway, so the problem is they don't come in black. They just don't come in black. Cougars don't come in black. Only jaguars and leopards come in black as far as large felines go.
Bears are some kind of hairy people. They can talk and live in caves where they are rarely seen by anyone. Thus, according to scientists, was born the legend of the hairy Gobi people, the Almas. Now let us look at Tuva. The Republic of Tuva is the youngest republic of the Russian Federation. It is situated in the geographical center of Asia, in the eastern Siberia. The capital of Tuva is Kyzyl. And for those who want to know, the population of Tuva is only about 318,000 people, but the area is 168,000 plus square kilometers. The Tuvans, the native inhabitants of the republic, make up about 80% of the total population. The Tuvan minorities also live in neighboring Mongolia and in China. The Tuvans, one of the most ancient peoples of Central Asia, have preserved their unique culture, the culture of nomads.
Do they? Maybe it was a dirty cougar. Love me a dirty cougar. Hot. Why did the pharaoh cry? He missed his mummy.
The lifestyle which runs the generations. The native language is Tuvan, which is a Turkic language. And Tuva has relic hominids. Here is the testimony of Aya.
Do I count as a cougar?
The Tuva Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic. So this was in the days before the disintegration of the Soviet Union. My grandfather was staying with us. I told him that there are wild people in some parts of our country. To my surprise, in response, I heard that in Tuva there are furry creatures of huge stature, very similar to humans. Their name is Kiji Burus, that is humanoid. Right. Grandpa told me...
Fam, chill and listen to Guy talk for a second while I go grab my coffee from the kitchen. I'll be right back.
The two stories that he heard from his grandfather when he was young. Yes, by the way, he also said that it was a long time ago when our climate was warmer. One hunter, after an unsuccessful hunt, smoked a pipe zinda by the fire. It was late at night, and he didn't portend anything unusual, when suddenly someone threw a rock at him, but only hit the pipe, which flew off to the side, and the hunter quickly turned around and saw someone shaggy, of huge stature, who hurried into the bushes. At first, the grandfather thought it was a bear, but a bear who dared to throw a stone would not run away so quickly, but would roar for a long time. A seasoned hunter, he immediately determined that it was a Kijiburus. He heard that wild people live in the taiga and that they sometimes attack ordinary people, killing them with a rock on the head. And there were those who killed them, but the meat of wild people was not like that of animals, but like that of humans.
Would be caffeinated now, beaches. Caffeinated. Ooh, ooh. And I ran into my friend when I was walking out there.
Superstitious people thought that these were messengers of Asa and Shulbus, that is, the devils. The next day, the hunter still shot a raw deer. After removing the entrails, he hung the carcass on a tree, marking the place, and went hunting further.
Actually, I don't date people like super young compared to me. I'm in my 40s. I'm 41. And my dating range has been mostly... I haven't dated anybody under the age of 26. So, 26 to people in their mid-50s. So, yeah, I'm not really a cougar. I could be, though, if I wanted to. I mean, I have, like, young men who will hit me up, but I'm like, no, I have kids your age. I have kids your age.
Away. In the evening, he came back and saw this, that some creature was eating meat. The creature was shaggy, huge in stature. It was sitting on the ground, tearing out pieces of meat directly from the carcass of the roe deer. The hunter wanted to run away, but suppressing his fear, he shot at the Kijiburus. That's all. Then they say the creature...
This is the story like the Minnesota Iceman. It almost beat for beat. It's like the Russian version of the Minnesota Iceman.
Left this place forever. And now another case. Two women near a mountain stream were combing their hair when suddenly one of them accidentally looked up and saw two Kijiburus sitting nearby and also combing their hair.
Accidentally looked up. That's a weird way to describe looking up.
Then one of the women who saw the Kijiburus screamed. The Kijiburus stood for a while and ran away. At this time, the husband of one of the women left with nomads to graze sheep. She asked a friend to come to her for the night. It was getting dark quickly. The woman's friend did not come. Either she did not want to or she forgot, but the woman had to spend the night alone.
To fix it.
Late at night, she heard some rustling behind the wall. She quickly put a log on her bed, covered it with blanket, and hid herself behind the door at the entrance. After a while, the Kijiburus...
So, I kind of want to put the closed caption on. See what he's saying. Kijiburus. And he says it, spells it here as Kijiburus. So this is pronounced with a j sound. So it's Kijiburus. And it seems like, since he's pulling up a picture of avarice, this could be like a synonym for Yeti.
Very quietly entered the Chandir, the home, the house. Carefully stepping, approached the bed and hit the headboard several times. When the creature began to leave quietly, the concealed woman hit it on the head with an axe. After a while, she was also able to kill the second Kijiburus.
So you could qualify in select cases. 20 years is an approximate for a generation. No, I'm not interested in like being a cougar at all. I honestly, I really don't date to have relationships anymore. Dating's just for fun for me at this point in my life. It would take a really exceptional person to come along to make me want to get into another relationship.
Fearing the revenge of the Kijiburus, Local
Wait a
people
second,
burned
she
the
killed it?
Kijiburus, hit it on the head with an. When the creature began to leave quietly,
This sounds lit. Hold on.
after a while, the Kijiburus very quietly entered the Chandir, the house, carefully stepping, approached the bed and hit the headboard several times. When the creature began to leave quietly, the concealed woman hit it on the head with an axe. After a while, she was also able to kill the second Kijiburus. Fearing the revenge of the Kijiburus, local people burned the Chandir since it was made of branches and dried quite well over the summer. And the storyteller says that
What the hell? She killed one and they didn't even like examine it or anything. Come on.
they think that Kijiburus still exist in Tuva. This was taken in the village, the story in Karahasaki in 1987. And now here's a testimony of a person, Valentin Ivanovich from Novosibirsk. That's a city in Siberia. In the summer of 1969.
So Siberian wildmen too. What are the Siberian wildmen called? Because the Yetis are from the Himalayas, right? And then Yerens is when they cross into China. Almas in Russia and Mongolia. Siberia is Russia, so maybe they're Almas? Siberian wildmen. No, that's a Chechunias or whatever, however you're saying it. It's spelled CHUCHUNAA. Yeah, I'll show you guys. This is from Bigfoot Encounters, but that's how it's spelled right there. A man-eater, the Chechuna often steals food from settlements. Observers say that the creature has a protruding brow, low matted hair, full beard, and walks with its hands hanging below its knees.
Our party worked in the central part of the Yenisei Ridge. The nearest village.
Yeah, it's like Exiles from Monsters, Inc., like the Abominable Snowman.
Mine was several hundred kilometers away. Untouched taiga is all around. The absolute marks of the mountains are about 700 to 800 meters. The relative distance exceeded up to 200 to 300 meters. For some reason, I had to move from one group to another, one team to another, at a distance of 25 kilometers. I walked along the watershed. It was lightly wooded. I walked mainly on rubble overgrown with moss. I had a compass, a map, and a revolver. It was drizzling, and a light breeze was...
compass, a map, and a revolver. Sounds like an adventure.
Blowing. I walked almost inaudibly. About halfway through, around noon...
I like the weed that they have here. These fresh green buds. No, I think that's like lichen, but it does kind of look like buds.
I suddenly heard a whistle and was very surprised, thinking, how can there be a person here? I stopped and looked at the place where the whistle came from. Suddenly, a dark round head appeared above the thickets of cedar wood. About one point...
And then Bree popped up. She's like, hey there, big guy. Why don't you come up here and have some lichen with me? I'm so hungry.
5 meters high, looked around in fright and disappeared into the bushes again. The distance to it was 20 to 25 meters. The time during which it was
y'all singing man-eater and meat-beater.
visible was 2 to 3 seconds. I did not have time to see it properly, only saw the general outlines. My glasses were covered with drizzle. I stood behind a thick birch tree.
I'll cover your glasses with drizzle, baby. Come on up into my mountains. Oh, Henry's out
pulled
there
out a
playing
revolver
soccer.
and began to wipe my glasses. A few minutes later, the whistle sounded again, accompanied by some kind of
Henry's so cute. Have you guys seen Henry?
single buzzing, and the bushes moved with a crash. I stood on the platform, and I could clearly see from above how the tops of the bushes were shaking. Then again, a dark head appeared above the bushes for 2 or 3 seconds, looked around, and disappeared into the bushes again. The whistling was heard again, then a strong crackling of breaking thick branches.
Look, seriously. this is our puppers. Isn't he adorable? This is Henry. He's a border collie bully mix with a little bit of husky, so he talks like a husky. But isn't he so cute? Sorry, I know I'm being like one of those weird people. It's like, look at my dog. It's not really my dog. It's Ben's dog. I dog sit him, though, all the time. I'll be dog sitting him later on during Ben's show. But, yeah, he's adorable.
The bushes moved more strongly. I realized that the creature in the bushes was showing me its strength, wanted to scare me.
The creature in the bushes.
But I didn't know where I was. But the creature did not know where he was. I prepared my weapon for battle, and in order not to annoy the one sitting in the bushes anymore, I knocked on the birch with the revolver. The creature in panic rushed in the opposite direction from me, and for a few more seconds, I saw his...
A spam eater? Eek. Eating spam? I bet a Yeti would eat spam, though.
Fat ass, which he threw above his head as he ran on all fours down the slope.
I saw... Wait a second. Fat ass,
which he from me, and for a few more seconds, I saw his fat ass, which he threw above his head as he ran on all fours down the slope. I saw his fat ass, which he threw above his head as he ran on all fours down the slope. It looked like a bear.
His fat ass, she threw above his head. What? That's, okay. Whoa. That's a description if I've ever heard one. His fat ass. Fat ass.
The only unusual things were whistling, the absence of growling, and a round head on a neck thinner than that of a bear. It was about the size of an average bear.
You know, when you see a hairy, like, humanoid creature, and the main thing that stands out to you is how thick it is, how fat that ass is, I'm going to say that these guys must have the most thick badonkadonk asses that you could ever imagine. This image here that it's showing does not do justice to the description that we're getting. This Yeti is not nearly thick enough. Not even close.
Coat color was ash gray. The nearest distance at which I saw it is about 20 meters. I have seen bears many times during my travels, but this creature was not like them. I told experienced hunters about it, but they laughed at me and said that the bear does not whistle. After a while, I read an article about the abominable snowman, which said that
I'm not body shaming them Yetis. For real. I'm like, yeah, work it. If that Yeti's got ass, that Yeti needs to work that ass. It's only natural. That's why, you know, when you sight a Yeti and the Yeti throws it back, you just maybe throw some dollar bills at it.
that it whistles. And it dawned on me, did I see a snowman? Abominable snowman. I would like to believe that it was a relic hominid, but two circumstances confuse me. One, why did it run down the mountain on all fours like an ordinary animal? Two, why experienced hunters who tracked down and killed several dozen bears have never seen either hominids or even their tracks? Again, this was in Novosibirsk in the year 19...
This one also does not have enough ass. These images are not matching the description, sir. We need much thicker, much more, big booty Yetis. Yetis are going to have ass for days. It's in the description. Cryptic artist, whatever you want to call yourself. Get it together. We need thick Yetis. And I'm not saying, to make the female Yetis thick and whatnot. No, the daddy Yeti's got to be thick too. That's the new standard. We've heard it here.
Then there was an interview taken by the APN correspondent Zheredyov with an expert on the cryptids, Georgy Alexeyevich. I have only some experts from this fascinating interview. And here it goes. Something about the distribution, area, nutrition, and habitat conditions of relic hominids of Siberia. According to legends and the results of surveys of the indigenous population, currently it is very difficult to talk about the distribution area of a huge fur-covered humanoid creature, the very existence of which causes serious controversy in scientific circles. The matter is further complicated in many ways by the fact that the vast territory of Siberia and the Far East are involved in the sphere of intensive human economic activity. New cities are being built, railways are being stretched, huge areas of the taiga are being cut down, the last sections of the wild
And that doesn't say huge areas of the taiga. It's huge areas of the taiga, which is a problem. But I mean, deforestation's a problem globally. However, if these are relict populations of people or just a population of indigenous people that live a more primitive lifestyle, yeah, we'd be encroaching on their way of life, which we do all the time. There's uncontacted people that we put at risk every day. You know, we have our flotsam and jetsam washing up on their shores, our waste clogging their rivers, so they're exposed to us even when they're not exposed to us.
Taiga are being plowed. The economic development of new territories entails a lot of immigrants from western regions of the country who are little interested in the lifestyle and spiritual heritage of the indigenous peoples of Siberia.
Kip, how dare you? This is not a Sasquatch. This is a Alma or a Yeti. Completely different continent, sir. And you saw a Bigfoot yesterday because you're in Canada, and I think like 12% of the population of Canada is Sasquatch, so that makes sense.
Not only that, there is often a dismissive attitude of visitors, in fact, guests, to the folklore and customs of the hosts. This leads to such a sad consequence. The indigenous population is wary of visitors. They hunt, sell coop, Ninets, Yukagir, Russians, old-timers, and others reluctantly dedicate newcomers or reveal to newcomers the secrets of their past. It is often completely impossible to get
I would say that
to talk to the visitors.
Yeah.
Everything concerning belief.
Bigfoot are generally bears. Samuel J. Squatch. Yes. Why is the middle initial J? I wonder. Well, so Yetis and Almas tend to be a lot smaller. Not a lot smaller, but smaller than a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. Bigfoot sightings, they tend to be absolutely massive. Bigfoot generally are not under 6 foot, ever reported under 6 foot tall, like hardly ever. They're usually reported between 7 and 10 feet tall, but they're also generally reported like 4 feet wide. So they're absolutely ginormous, whereas Yeti tend to be a lot smaller. Yeti are they're bigger than the hobbits, the Orangopindex, the little hobbit hominids, which are like hip high, but they're generally from the size from a very small humanoid size to human size to a large human size is how Yetis and Almas tend to run, whereas Bigfoots are a lot bigger. Not always. I mean, there have been sightings of gigantic Yetis and tiny Bigfoots and stuff, but as a general rule, Yetis are going to be a lot smaller. We're about done with Cryptic Corner, though. Even though this video still has 15 minutes left, we don't have 15 minutes left to spare on it. I was hoping he was going to get to Zana, but, well, I just don't want to run over because we got Ben's thing later. What we'll do is we'll speed him up and see if we can still understand him to 1.5 and see how much more we can get through.
And shamanism, everything connected with the possessor of the taiga, I guess that's the right word, maybe the lord of the taiga, is a real taboo for the curious, for those who first ask and then...
It keeps translating it tiger, but it's taiga, like the piney evergreen forest of the northern latitudes.
Pour away literally everything. Idols from ancient temples, ritual shoals that wrap sacred trees and shamanic places. They wrap graves, chapels, even...
Sumami, you'd be the cutest baby Yeti ever. Oh my gosh, I would boop you.
Wrap hunting hunts. It is sad that such cases are often handled by some employees of regional museums of local lore. Naturally, it is very difficult to conduct research in such an environment. But on the other hand, where the informants recognized us as their own, that is, native Siberians, things went easily.
without much difficulty. The only thing we were asked to do was not to name names, but that wasn't even everywhere. As for the nutrition, the information I received from the narrators about the nutrition of the paleoanthropic beings sometimes caused me a feeling of bewilderment and this.
You have a dance floor. Oh, I have a floor to install later, and I mixed that with Sue should dance in a Yeti costume, and I've decided that now John Fabiano is installing a dance floor, which is going to be awesome.
Distrust of those informants, of people who provide information. For example, for a long time I could not understand what a humanoid creature could find in licking a bear's stone, and even doing it in winter. Some indigenous inhabitants of the Middle Urals claim that a hairy man not only licks stones but also eats them. At the same time, they refer to their fathers and grandfathers and often to their own observations. Since in winter on the bare slopes of mountains among the stone scree, they sometimes came across traces of huge bare feet and stones torn apart by huge paws. Some people observed the owners of these tracks themselves, wandering
They'd be rock biting
among the landslides. I had to deal with this separately. It turned out that the wild people really like to eat lichen growing on the surface of the stones. The locals showed exactly what kind of lichen the bolshak eats. That's what the Russian old-timers, the Siberians, call the hominid by that name, bolshak. And even they tried it themselves. I tried it too and agreed with them.
Ooh, hold on.
Probably possible.
What's Kip celebrating? Because I can, is it going to be on YouTube? Because I can tell Dr. Ben to send people your way. Because I'm sending people to Ben's at 11:30. Okay, so because that's when he's starting his stream. It's this 3K stream for Dr. Ben, and it is at 11:30. We're Mountain Time, so that's what 12:30 Central, 10:30 Pacific. So we'll do that. And I can see if Ben will send folks your way. If you got a link, Kip, can somebody drop a link for Kip's stream if anybody has it? Because I can send people that way. All right. So,
Able to eat it. Of all types of lichens growing on rocks, the bolshak prefers
lichen,
Nakapina or Itrarium, Latin names. In one of the districts, I was told that the Maigiki, I've never met such a name for a Wildmen, but that's what it is, that they eat a local plant on lichen with pleasure. According to the witness, Maigiki first soaks the berry in running water. The experiment continued until the end of VV's life and was crowned with success. The boy grew up as a normal child. Fears resistance, they had to be shot. The male was killed immediately, and the female went into labor. The members of the expedition had to
hold on.
issue. The following article was published.
Here we
In
go.
1924, a Soviet expedition to the Himalayas, led by Professor Vedensky, discovered the lair of some animal. During several days of observation of this lair, it was found that a Yeti...
Yours is tomorrow? Okay. PC post a link. Excellent. Okay. Cool.
lived in it, a large male and a pregnant female. We decided to catch them in order to bring them to Moscow for further study. But the Yetis put up such a fierce resistance that they had to be shot. The male was killed immediately, and the female went into labor. The members of the expedition had to turn into midwives. The wounded mother died, but the newborn survived. And he was safely brought to Moscow. One of the members of the expedition, let's call him by the initials V, expressed a desire to take the baby for upbringing. The experiment continued until the end of VV's life and was crowned with success. The boy grew up as an...
So they raised the Russian government raised a Yeti, is what we're learning about here.
normal child, only slightly lagging behind his peers in development. He was and died in Stalin's dungeons during the Soviet purges when millions of people were killed by the regime. Now, we're speaking...
Did he have Yeti powers, though?
About 1994. The adopted son of VV is no longer there. He died quite early, but his son remained. And the latter, by the way, has become quite a famous person. He was a member of the Soviet parliament and then was elected to the Russian State Duma, or parliament. Several people from
and
the
his name is Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm.
Academy of Sciences know that he is the son of the abominable snowman. The fact is that VV, as a true scientist, kept a detailed diary of observations of his adopted son throughout the whole time. Before
what an intriguing little story, right? This is what I wanted to get to before we finished up here.
Death, he bequeathed to his wife to transfer his records to the Academy of Sciences, but the secrecy stamp has not yet been removed from these documents, since a well-known politician, a deputy of the State Duma, does not really want to declassify his family tree. For the same reason, we cannot name his surname. That was from that article.
It's Putin. It's Putin's his surname.
An argumenti and facti. Now let's look at another
I don't know.
territory. In 1942, a group of prisoners of war escaped from a Soviet labor camp located somewhere in eastern Siberia and made it across the continent to Tibet, where high in the mountains near the Kulumbu Pass, the fugitives noticed two incomprehensible creatures similar to humans moving along a snowy slope. Approaching them, they saw two huge hairy people about 8 feet, 2.5 meters tall. They were powerfully built, broad-shouldered, with long arms and almost square heads with hair that fell to their shoulders. Later, local residents...
You notice how these all sound like maybe like they're just people? Like even the last one where they raised the kid and he couldn't even be distinguished from the native kids. What does that tell you about how these Yetis look? I mean, are they just people with genetic abnormality that makes them hairy?
Said that they met Singa Singh, which means bear man. In other areas of Tibet, this creature is called Juti. And finally, the Himalayas. In 1978, a group of Polish climbers went to the Himalayas. Their goal was to climb Khotse, 8,511 meters in height. On the way back after a successful ascent, the climbers were in for a surprise. From the media and from their Sherpa porters, they knew quite a lot about
Yeah, Summer of '69 is sort of famous for that, Aunt Jer, if I'm not mistaken. Got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime. I actually have my first real 6-string still in the other room. I still have it. It's nostalgic to me. I learned to play on that big old bitch and keep it tuned in like a drop D now. So whenever I feel like chugging, I just pull it out and just chug away.
Wild, hairy, humanoid Yeti creatures found in the Himalayas. And when one morning they got out of the tents and walked
Love you, PC. Love you, love ya.
the snow-covered path to the nearest neighboring camp, where the French expedition was staying. While walking along the trail half a kilometer from the camp and approaching the icefall, the climbers saw fresh traces of bare human feet, clearly imprinted on the recently fallen snow. The tracks were traced for hundreds of meters. They didn't look like the tracks of any known animal. These were not the tracks of a bear. And where could it have come from at such an altitude in the autumn time, when all the animals descend from the highlands into the forest to feed for the winter?
So it sounds like it'd be a good way to sneak around if you were a fugitive, like what they were talking about, and you had some big fake feet to like cover your tracks. Be like, oh, this isn't the fugitives we're tracking. This is a Yeti.
Could not have been a man, since people do not walk barefoot on glaciers, and their sizes were not human. The footprints were of two
But you can make big fake Yeti footprints to walk in the snow, or like snowshoes, right? Like the big Yeti snowshoes to throw off people from following you or from finding you.
sizes. The large tracks were 35 centimeters long and 22 centimeters wide. The depth of the tracks was twice as deep excuse me.
Okay, Trees, you got to remember, I'm playing acoustic though. I'm an acoustic girl. I can play electric guitars, but acoustic is my passion. And I can play metal. But usually, if I'm going to play metal, I'm not going to be on the guitar though. I'm going to be on bass. It just comes more naturally to me to play the bass. Maybe someday I'll pick the bass out, but I got a good bass amp right now.
As the depth of the climbers' tracks on the same snow. This testified to the great weight of the creature that left traces. Large and small tracks strayed side by side. In some difficult areas, small tracks disappeared. It seemed that in these places a large creature took a small one in his arms and carried him. The tracks started from the camp of the French expedition, where various things were left, including bales of food. From the French
Yeah, we're all shaming you, John Fabiano, for shame.
camp, the tracks went towards the icefall, where they were lost among the ice blocks. These tracks were captured on film by the expedition's cameraman Jerzy Sturdel and shown on Moscow television in the year of 1978. The most valuable thing about these photographs was that they clearly showed that at least two hairy creatures unknown to science live in the Himalayas, a giant anthropoid ape, Yeti, and a more humanoid hominid. It was not known which of them the Sherpas call Yeti. These hominids clearly do not...
So like this is where they get like, oh, there's two species now.
Have appeared from nowhere. The term relic or relict used to describe them demonstrates antiquity of this type of hominid.
Yeah, John Fabiano, I've been getting DMs all morning about your typos. Dude, get it together. Love you. Thank you for showing up every morning.
which seems to have survived as an anomaly in parallel to us, to Homo sapiens. And it is thought in science that we are the only living hominid creatures. As I have shown in my videos, there are creatures on this planet we still know very little about. And we should find out more. And I'm hoping one day to get to Mongolia. I'm training, and I have a dog who's actually a Korean wolf who's helping me in my exercises. We live on a fascinating planet. There are areas on this planet that have not been really explored.
You're going to bring a wolf to hunt Yetis in Mongolia? That sounds like a novel. Bringing his hunting wolves into Mongolia to hunt for Yetis or Almas or...
I know about the deserts of Southwest Africa, of Eurasia. But there's so many more places. In Brazil, of what I know, but I've seen just a small bit, but there's so much more. In other areas. And there's the Antarctica and so much more. And I'll do my best to bring you videos of my experiences and my research and testimonies of those who had actual encounters, brave researchers, explorers, dreamers, you can say. So if you like my research, I ask you that you please support me.
Neck,
You'll find the links in the description to this video.
Just won't
I would really appreciate that, and that you would subscribe to my channel, tell others about my channel, and like my videos. Thank you. And
all right, so yeah, I subscribe to your channel, don't I? Oh, I guess not. I'll subscribe. Yeah, we'll subscribe because you have a lot other stuff that I think that we might be able to cover and work with here. A lot of stuff that we might be able to work with. But yeah, this was paranormal research Paul Stonehill. And I believe he's in Russia. I believe so. But what do you think about Yetis and Almas and Yerens and all these hairy hominids from Eastern Asia? Are they a relic population of people? Living in isolation somewhere out there? Are they a lost species of ape roaming the mountains? Are they bear sightings? Is it a mixture of bear sightings and folklore and legends? What do you guys think? You tell me in the comments down below. Please remember to be kind. Take care. And we'll see you next time.